Hi everyone, this is Jill from the North Woods. Well, we are in week 36, and so now I have lost 0.4 pounds. Well, it's not my greatest weight loss time ever, but I'm still down 47 pounds, and I've crossed over. Now, you may not know this, particularly if you're not a woman. There are two size 18 pants. There are size 18 women's pants, and then there are size 18 pants. There is a regular size between those two pants. I learned this the last time I lost weight. So I have previously went from, like I said, I was at 4X. I bought pants in November, December that were 2X. And then I slowly started migrating into 18 women's. Well, the 18 women's, I wore them up north to go visit my mom, and they were too big. They were just too big. And so I am now in 18 regular. So while the weight hasn't been spectacular, the size loss has been pretty darn good. And I feel good about that. The other part of it is that my measurements are down inches. So it makes me feel like my body is reorganizing itself, even if I'm not losing weight. Maybe I'm just trying to make myself feel a little bit better. But the interesting thing about it too is that I was this weight. This is what I was like all of high school and all of college. And I noticed that the last time I lost weight when I was training with my trainer is that this weight got stuck here. And I was talking to someone, I know someone who was an epidemiologist and had a friend, this is getting convoluted, who was involved in metabolic health. And he said that there are set points in the body, and we'll talk a little bit about set points. And his idea is that there were two reasons that there were set points. One is that you've lost weight too fast and the body is doing math saying, hey, I got to keep you between like 96 degrees and 99 degrees or you'll die. Well, you won't die, but you know what I mean? Your body to be healthy needs to be between a certain number of degrees, and it'll slow down your weight loss while your body recalculates its math a little bit. There's another reason too. Sometimes the body is afraid, particularly in women, that we are having a famine. And what if you got pregnant? What if this famine is so bad, I have to set aside weight for you so that you could be able to have a child in a healthy manner, even if there's a terrible famine out there? Okay, that makes sense too. And then the third reason, which is the reason I think it is he said that the body remembers places where you were at a specific weight for a long period of time. And for me, this weight is the weight I have been the longest in my life. Like I said, it was a good solid, let's say I was at this weight for 8 years. I was at this weight when I lost weight the last time for probably 6 months. I got stuck at this weight. Even though I had done everything the way I had been doing it, I got stuck here. And now it feels like I'm a little bit stuck here, but it's not quite as resilient as it was before, because before I got stuck at this weight and then I didn't budge for a while. I'm budging. It's just not as spectacularly as I would like. The other thing, too, is that I noticed with the GLP1 drugs that when I move over to a new dose, it takes about, 3-4 weeks before I feel the full impact of that dose. I think just like when you start, you feel something, but then in a month in, then it really kicks in and it starts cooking. I think that's it too. So we're on week 2 of the 10 milligram, which is what I jumped up to last week. Weight-wise, it has been a roller coaster. So again, I had some very bad weight loss weeks. I put on 0.2 pounds, and then I lost 1.4 pounds, which was actually pretty good. But then I took my shot last Wednesday. The next 2 days later, that would be Friday, I dropped 2.6 pounds. And then I dropped another 0.6 pounds. So I was down totally 3.2 pounds. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a good week. And then the weight came back up again and settled itself in until I was just 0.5. I didn't eat anything different. Again, I eat pretty much the same thing every day. Maybe once a month, I go out and I eat with my friends. And I'm usually pretty good now where I'll have tomato soup. I might have a very easy to go sandwich like a BLT where it's not quite as bad as like a grilled cheese or a steak sandwich. Or I'll eat something high protein, usually pretty good. And so I do all right with that. But for the most part, day in and day out, I eat the same thing every day, because if this drug is going to make me not care about what I eat, why don't I just eat this very set, healthy diet I know I lose weight at? So it's okay. I think that this will kick in. I do think it will kick in. But the other part that really kicked in were some of the side effects. Now, I haven't had much in the way of side effects at all, but I can tell that when I took the drug last week, at first I thought by the time the weekend rolled around, I had a cold. Was it a cold? Was it a allergies? Spring is starting to come. It's getting windy again and blowing things around. And I thought, okay, I have a cold. And then it struck me, I don't have a cold. I think that this is the drug, because I was run down. I was just tired. I wasn't sleeping very well. I did have a little bit of stuffy nose. That might have been the allergy part of it, but my stomach was really angry. I couldn't really eat even the simplest foods without it gurgling in an angry manner for a while. And so then I was like, okay, I'm starting to think that this was the increase in the drug, that this really wasn't me getting sick at all. And like I said, I feel pretty much the same. And I'm like, yeah, this really has to be the drug kind of running me down. And I took shot number 2 today, and I started feeling that again. Like all of a sudden, everything that I thought was me getting a cold started coming back again. So I pretty much have confirmed that whatever is going on with me is the increased dose of the shot, which I've heard you get increased results with higher shot levels, but you also get increased possibilities of side effects. Nothing bad. Everything is good. And that's what we're going to talk about today, are some of the side effects you can get. I know I talked about this a few months ago, but I want to talk about it again, since now they seem to be kind of getting a little bit stronger. But also, I am reading more and more about other people. And my good friend, she started out on GLP1s as well. She's doing it through the compounding place called Orderly, and having good success losing weight there. She is on low dose at this moment. What I really like about these compounding pharmacies and the way they do it with it is that you can adjust up in your drugs in a more sophisticated way, I think. For me, I get a pen, and each pen is 2.5 increments. And if I go up a lot. I think if I was doing the compounding thing, and I'm not a doctor and I'm not telling you what to do, is that I would probably have gone up much more slowly than I have gone up. I think that the jumps are big, and then you feel, like I said, you just don't feel great after the jumps. But I'm sure, too, there are clinical trials and doctors involved in that, so there are probably reasons. But let's talk about the side effects a little bit now when it comes to taking one of these kinds of drugs and what's been kind of hitting me lately and what hits other people. So we're going to break this down in a couple of different categories when it comes to side effects. And of course, the big ones have to do with the gut. The GLP is everywhere. There's a lot of receptors everywhere, but this is primarily a gut and insulin and kind of drug, right? It slows down the process of you digesting food. Food stays in the stomach longer. Then it gets put into the intestines. See, I remember high school biology. And then the whole process is much slower. And as part of that, people can feel nausea. Now, I get nausea, as I mentioned before, from the shot to about 2-3 hours after the shot. It has been for the last 2 weeks since I went up in dose, a lot more. I didn't think I was going to throw up, but I did have to go up to the bathroom a minute because I thought, well, maybe I am going to throw up, and I never did. So it seems to be a feeling. Part of the reason I think, too, that I don't ever feel like I'm going to throw up is because I'm very careful with my eating on Wednesdays. I am particularly careful. So I just want to make sure that before I take the shot, my stomach is in good condition. So that might be the reason why I never actually throw up. Some people do. I was just reading on Reddit, people talking about they take their first shot and they've just been throwing up for 3 days. That has never happened to me. I also fundamentally wonder what they're eating, if that is causing problems. I can't step in other people's shoes, but it seems to me that whenever I read about a lot of people having very big side effects, they say, oh, well, I haven't even changed my eating and I'm losing weight on Ozempic or I'm losing weight on Mounjaro. But then they say, oh, yeah, but I throw up all the time. Again, I don't believe that the weight loss is all me. Like I said, I can tell my system broke and now it's fixed with this drug. And so I'm losing weight. But I think the lack of side effects is me because I'm eating very good and I'm being very disciplined, of course, because of the drug, but I'm doing very well. And so I wonder if people said they were vomiting a lot, what are they eating? Are they eating greasy foods? Now, I get nausea also when my friend and I, like I said, maybe once a month, we go out and we have lunch. We found this awesome pancake breakfast place. And so we've been going there lately because that doesn't seem to screw up my stomach. But if I eat something that is a little bit too much grease or it is too much food, I will feel not so good and a little bit nauseous a couple hours after that meal. So that's what I kind of wonder about the situation. Then, of course, the big one everybody always talks about is diarrhea and constipation. And interestingly enough, diarrhea and constipation, interestingly enough, constipation and diarrhea, you can get them both. I didn't know that. Have I had these problems? Absolutely. The constipation has mostly been bad when I talked about my camping trip. I don't know if it was the water. I don't know if it was the fiber. I kind of kept up with both of those, but maybe just not well enough. I don't know what went wrong there. But suddenly I was very, very constipated. Normally what I have been able to do if I get into that position is I take some fiber, I eat a pear, and usually that goes away. But in that particular case, what fixed it was, not to be gross or anything, drinking lots of water, but they sell stool softener. And I've never in my life taken stool softener, but in this particular case I did. And in that situation, it fixed me up. Every other situation, the fiber, eating a pear, drinking a lot of water, did great. Then comes diarrhea. I have not had much of a problem with that on this drug. But for the last week, I have. Suddenly, I do have diarrhea. And I don't get it. I don't know why it suddenly went from left to right in this whole process. But it's not uncommon. People get that. And sometimes when you read other people's accounts or listen to them on YouTube, people will say that they get constipated. And then as soon as they go, sorry for this being graphic, then they get diarrhea right after it. And so for the next day, they have diarrhea. They get both. And I've never had that happen. But this drug has sort of put me on the constipation side. And I watch out for that. To be honest with you, out of all the side effects, that is the one I focus on the most. Again, not a doctor, but intestinal blockage is dangerous. And so in my mind, this is all I care about. All the other side effects are me just not feeling well or this or that or the other thing. But if I get very constipated, I am all over it. I'm always drinking that water. I'm always eating that fiber. And if I get this hint that, hey, it's not been very long. Hey, and if I get this hint that it's been too long since I last went, yes, I am keeping track of it in my Net Diary because it allows me to track all sorts of things. I track when I poop. There's my glamorous life. But I want to make sure that I don't go past 3 days. If I hit that day 3, I am intervening all the time. And partially I'm a little bit sensitive to it because what killed my dad was constipation, was intestinal blockage. I don't know what happened. We were not talking at this particular type, but I know that it can be very dangerous for people. So in my mind, this one side effect is the one I'm all over because 1, it could damage me. 2, it could kill me. And 3, it is a thing that could take you off this drug because the doctors feel like you start getting different types of intestinal paralyses and stuff like that. So I don't want any part of it. This is what I focus on the most, and this is the only one I care about. And that's all I'll say about that. Then the next one, people call it side effect, is a loss of appetite. I consider that a feature, not a bug. And so that's exactly why we're taking the drug, right? Some people get a lot of stomach pain. I get gurgling. And that's what's funny about me, is I will eat something and my stomach will just gurgle for a while. And I don't know what's happening. And I think, are you unhappy? Are you happy? And then it goes away. So nothing ever comes of it. But along with that, a little bit of gas and bloating too. Absolutely can happen. And for me, it's never been bad. I have heard of people getting very bad stomach pains. I think it was Macy Gray who ended up going to Mexico. Her plane landed and she was in pain. Actually, I think what she was screaming was, "I can't poop." But I don't know. Anyway, you people get stomach pains with this particular piece. And again, it is troubleshooting the issue. If you are nauseous, there is a drug that people go on to get anti-nausea feeling. If you have diarrhea or constipation, work on that. If you have stomach pain or gas or bloating, there's gas and, there's gas and stomach medicines that you can take over the counter. But of course, you should go see a doctor if you're having severe issues of any of it. The next part of it is belching. And I have had belching. Like if I take the shot, I kind of get burpy. Well, maybe a half hour after I take the shot. It's really weird. But some people say that they get something called sulfur burps. I don't have sulfur burps. It's not bad tasting. It's not gross. It is just a little, kind of thing. And nothing's wrong with it. But some people say it's really gross. And they have suggestions for it, primarily eating less sulfur foods. Eggs have sulfur in them. There's a number of vegetables that have sulfur in them as well. Like I always liked Brussels sprouts, and I'm not eating anything with sulfur in them. So those are kind of the stomach types of issues. Acid reflux, heartburn, some people get that as well. And that, again, you can treat. You can watch what you eat. It might be, I wonder, some food that's causing that problem. A friend of mine has severe acid reflux disease, and she has to watch what she eats. She loves chocolate. She loves coffee. She doesn't take any of those in because of how bad her acid reflux is. I have not had acid reflux, but I'll tell you what, last week, like I said, when I was starting to feel not so well, I had a little bout of acid reflux. And so I'm like, oh, there we go. Maybe this is exactly what I think, that shot that's there. So those are kind of on the stomach disorder side of things. Other side effects that people get, and I've had too. First one is fatigue. And I mentioned this when I went camping. I didn't realize I had fatigue until I went camping because I took my shot Wednesday at 2:00 like I do every week. And then my friend are like, cool. All right. Because I said we had to go back to the campsite so I could inject Mounjaro. Did that. Okay, cool. Let's go hiking again. And all of a sudden I was like, I think I have to sit down for a while. And it wasn't dizzy and I didn't feel bad. I was just exhausted all of a sudden. And I sat there probably for about, I don't know, I think it was about 45 minutes. We kind of sat down and just chatted for a while, and I got a drink and I tried to get myself back up together again. And then we ended up not going on I think one hike we wanted to. We just did an easier hike just because I wasn't feeling that great. So I do have fatigue, and I can tell you that in the last 2 weeks, well, it's not 2 weeks. I say 2 weeks, but it was last Wednesday and it's this Wednesday. I've been pooped. I can feel it affecting me. We got some snow today. I was going to go out and shovel the snow, and I just was like, I can't even do it. The next one comes in as some people get dizziness. Now, it's been interesting because there have been a couple of times that I was dizzy and I struck it up to low blood sugar because Mounjaro found all of the drugs, they are diabetic treatments, and I had diabetes. My blood sugar is rock solid now. Just right exactly where it should be for a human being, my age, everything else like that. But am I getting low blood sugar? Because it usually does happen after I get done with the gym. And I usually try to eat a pear or an apple or something when I get back from the gym just to get myself a little something. I don't try to overreact to low blood sugar feelings, primarily because I think when you don't have sugar in your body, that's when it calls out to the fat stores and says, hey, send some stored energy my way. And so I think maybe that's when you lose weight. I could be making that up. But I think, I don't want to overreact to it. I don't want to sit there and try to feed myself because I'm feeling low on sugar. If you're low on sugar, talk to your doctor about it and see. Mine is not bad. Mine is more like, I'm a little peckish. I ate a pear. It's fine. Some people get headaches. And here's another interesting thing. I don't get headaches from this, except last week, Friday, headache. I had a headache all week. Not a big one, not a blinding one, nothing catastrophic, but I had a headache all week. And so then the headache sort of went away, maybe yesterday. Took the shot today, headache. So I'm like, okay, now I have headache. So it's again, nothing severe. And all those side effects, they don't matter that much to me, much at all, primarily because, like I said, all I care about is pooping. I'll just say it. That's all I care about. As long as everything is going through the system the way it should go, I'm happy. The next one comes in as sleep. And I'll put my sleep record up here too. My friend was like, are you sure that it's affecting your sleep? Is it affecting your sleep? And I showed her the map of my, I have one of those withing bed things that measures how restless you are and sleeping, and you're awake or you're not awake. It does your breathing, your heart rate, your restlessness, your breathing disturbances, that kind of thing. I'm sleeping great. I'm sleeping great. I'm sleeping great. And then every Wednesday, bad, sometimes Thursday. So yes, my sleep is disrupted by taking this shot. And it's not like I'm sitting in bed, not falling asleep or anything like that. It makes, I feel more restless. I wake up and my sheets are all like, I'm very twisty, turny, and on the nights I take Mounjaro. I have no idea why, because also I tend to go to bed a little bit earlier because I'm fatigued and I feel tired, so I go to bed. The other thing I noticed with my withing heart rate and my Apple Watch is my heart rate goes up. I can literally see me taking the shot in my heart rate on my watch. It goes, and it goes up. Not only that, my heart rate is up about 3 points since I started Mounjaro. In fact, some of these apps will notice and it'll say, your heart rate used to be, resting heart rate was 59, and now it's 63. And so it'll say, at one point your heart rate was lower and we just noticed your heart rate's higher now. Okay. So it does go up. My heart rate's fine. You do have to watch out for your heart rate going up. And again, talk to your doctor if you feel like your heart rate is going up. I saw someone on Reddit today talk about how she could feel her heart pounding in her chest. I've never had it that bad, but certainly that's something that you want to take care of. And so those are sort of I don't know what to say. Those are sort of, I don't want to call them emotional because fatigue and dizziness. I would just say like your state of self types of side effects. It can affect that as well. And then there are serious side effects, which this is why you should work with a doctor. Pancreatitis, gallbladder issues. Some people said kidney issues, but they say that it is a side effect of the nausea from, if people are throwing up all the time, you end up being dehydrated and that puts a strain on your kidneys. I'm, again, not a doctor. Gastroparesis, which is basically your stomach is not pushing things around like it should be. And so that's a big problem. And so that's, again, why I focus on the intestinal tract. That's all I care about, because all these other side effects I can deal with. I can take a nap. I can figure out a way of feeling better. But obviously I don't want to get anything severe, and that would interrupt my health, kill me, or potentially take me off this drug because I'm having significant problems. There's a very rare form of cancer that happens. And so they'll test your thyroid to make sure your thyroid's in good health before you take this. But that's very, very rare. And in fact, most of these side effects, other than the stomach disorder, is very rare. So then let's talk about some of the other side effects that may or may not be side effects. People talk about Ozempic face. There's Ozempic face, there's Ozempic butt, and there's Ozempic arms. So we'll talk about those. Your face gets deflated. And then if you watched the Oscars last week, people talked a lot about that. I wish these stars would not do it. There were a good number of stars who did not look good. They are just getting to size 0. There was an article that says size 0 is back in at Hollywood again now that everyone's taking Ozempic. They don't look good. There are people who used to look really good and they just don't now. And the face part and the butt part is hard because what this drug does is it targets your subcutaneous fat. You're injecting it into your subcutaneous fat, and it helps you lose it. I have lost visceral fat. That's the fat that is sitting in between organs. That is the dangerous fat. That is a particularly dangerous kind of fat. Not that the other kind of fat's great for you, but it targets this kind of fat. And where do you have the fat? You kind of have that fat in your cheeks, in your neck. You have it in your arms. You have it basically everywhere where you're almost allowed to shoot it, in your gut, your legs, and your butt. And so it is shrinking the fat in those areas. And people have looked very deflated. I told my friend, I said, don't let me look like those people in Hollywood and get deflated. I'd rather be a few extra pounds and look healthy than to look what like some of these Hollywood people look like. And like I said, one person, their arms were so skinny that they look like sticks, and you could see the flesh that connects between their trunk and their arms, and it did not look good. Going along with that is malnutrition. Malnutrition affects people. I was reading today some woman who got onto Mounjaro, and she ended up going to the doctor because she wasn't feeling very well. They did a bunch of lab panels on her, and she was deficient in everything. So she's starving herself to death. As I said to my friend last week, I said, people who are going to be bulimic, it doesn't matter whether you're doing it the old-fashioned 1980s way or you're doing it with Ozempic. You're getting malnutrition, and that is the bulk of it. I believe, and I've always believed, in eating your nutrition and trying to do that. I don't eat enough calories right now to do that. So I do take vitamins, namely D, calcium, a multivitamin, because I am worried. Oh, and fish oil, one that doesn't taste fishy because I hate fish. But I do take vitamins because I know I'm not getting everything I need. MyNet Diary, which is the app I use that tracks it, will track nutrients. So you can see what you're getting and you're not getting. And right now, for the most part, I'm getting darn near everything that I'm supposed to be getting. But she said in this Reddit article that she went to her doctor, told her she was suffering from malnutrition. And then she said, well, now I'm eating bigger meals. I'm eating more nutritious meals, and I'm focusing on my nutrition now. You don't have to do this for very long before you start having malnutrition side effects and symptoms. And some of them are quite dangerous. Someday we'll talk about not like vitamin taking, but vitamins that are in you. But if you have deficiencies, they can be quite striking in you. You can go from everywhere from having memory loss to muscle malfunctions. It's just not good for you. So don't starve yourself at all. You should be eating as balanced of a diet as you possibly can. And like I said, because this drug puts your relationship with food back in order again, you should be able to eat a very healthy meal without that grumbling like, no, I really wanted cake and cookies, but now I guess now I'm going to eat spinach. Nope. This drug allows you to eat a very nutritious diet. This is the time to do it when you're on this drug, because these lessons we're going to learn, we're going to carry into the time we're over those drugs. And going on with malnutrition comes with bone loss, bone and muscle loss. So first of all, bone, we get calcium. There's other types of minerals involved in bone mass. They wonder, and I wonder with them, if there's going to be this epidemic of people with terrible bones that are going to start breaking their bones. They're going to start having problems. My grandmother grew up in a very poor situation. She was in Lithuania. She had been an immigrant in several different cases. And she ended up having significant osteoporosis problems. And they think it was probably because of her youth when there was no food and nutrients available to her. And she ended up breaking a hip. That took a notch out. She ended up going into assisted living because of that. Bone mass is very important. It is what's going to keep you upright. It is what's going to keep you like this. And if people are going to get bone loss because of this drug, that's almost worse than the problem we're trying to solve. So just be careful about that. And then right along with it, muscle loss. Again, if you're not getting enough protein, you're not getting enough nutrients, if you're not getting enough exercise, you can lose muscle. And I've covered this before, so I'm not going to talk about it much. But muscle burns twice as much calories as the rest of your body. The protein parts of your body and the fat parts of your body. You have more muscle, you have a metabolism. You lose your muscle, the worst thing that happens, or one of the worst things that happens, is your metabolism is shot. You end up having worse metabolism problems. And every time you lose weight and gain weight and lose weight and gain weight, you lose muscle, you put on fat, and suddenly you are much more of a fat percentage than you ever were. And now your metabolism is shot. Not only that, it's your muscles. When I hurt my ankles, when I saw a physical therapist, he says that I have to build up the muscles that were surrounding the very tiny bones in my ankle. There's tendons, there's bone and cartilage, but the muscles will shield everything. If you have strong muscles that surround your knee joints, your ankle joints, all of your joints, your ability to stay healthy, your ability to escape injury increases. So it's really important that you don't lose muscle either. And that, again, is going to be primarily protein. So that's it. I wonder. I think we're going to see a world where there are not so many overweight people, which is fantastic. My fear is we're also going to see a world where there's a lot of people that have osteoporosis and no muscles there to support their now skimpy bones that they have inside of them now. So that's kind of the gist of it. Again, I talked a little bit about all the side effects I get. There's one side effect, and this one is not controversial because enough people have this that they think it actually is a thing, but they don't understand the mechanism of it from what I can read about it. And as soon as I take my shot, and I mentioned this before, everything that ever used to hurt, like I hurt my ankles start to ache. Over Christmas time, I hurt my elbow from being a nerd and using a mouse too much. My elbow's fine now, except when I take my shot, suddenly my elbow starts throbbing. The headache. So almost anything that I've ever injured in my life starts to hurt. Goes away after, like I said, about 2 hours, but it's the darn weirdest thing. I looked this up to see if other people were experiencing this as well. People have had neuropathy problems where they say that they put on a shirt and it hurts. In my case, my skull, this is the headache thing, was painful, like to the touch. In fact, it is right now. But that was causing a headache. And then that went away. So some people have kind of like an oversensitivity in their nerves is all I'm going to say about it. Like I said, it goes away. It responds to taking aspirin or Excedrin or whatever it is you take. So it's not serious, but it is weird. And I do notice it that my ankles are fine now, except after I take this shot, they hurt when I walk around on them. So I don't know. But that is something, like I said, a little bit more unknown than all the rest of the symptoms. Anyway, I hope that helps. I hope that helps you in trying to figure out what's going on. Please remember that you can always email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. I'd love to hear how you're doing. Are you on one of these drugs or are you just trying to lose weight? I always try to give some sort of a feedback, some sort of help that I found when coming to weight loss. I appreciate you watching and I hope that you just have a great day. Thanks so much and talk to you later.